Let's take a quick look on configuring Postgres databases in WebFOCUS. So I'm already logged onto the system. I want to connect a new database. So I can go to Get Data. Depending on your installation, you might already have an entry Postgres in here. If not, let me remove it here. So if it's not there, like it is now, you can hit the plus, search for it in here, select it, and add it. So I'm going to need some information on the connection name, which is just something you're going to take. So it's your name, use whatever you want to. So I'm going to use training in here. So make sure we have no typo in here, training. Then in here, we're going to need the URL. We're going to need the security. And we're going to need the user, the password. That's mainly what we're going to need in here. So if I click on show sample, you're going to see here's the entry you're going to need. So it's going to be JDBC. It's going to be oops, it's going to be make sure you don't have a typo in here. In my case, it's my local host. I know my port is not the default port, which would be 5432 minus 9408. And the name of my database is going to be training. So I'm going to use my user, which in my case is root, and I'm going to use my password in here. So that's what we need. So configure my database. It's configured. I can test my connection. See, I got a typo in here. Actually, what's wrong? So I got, as you see, I got a typo in here. So whenever you got an error message, make sure you read your message here properly. If you want to change something, go to properties. So there was something missing. Test it again. Now we're connected. Depending on the version and the configuration of your Postgres database, you might get an error message in here. You might get one. It's not for sure, but sometimes it happens. So if you get a message that it can't cope with the security and the encryption of passwords in Postgres. So, by the way, let me configure that one. So it's done in here. So if we go back to my properties, if you look into advanced parameters, by the way, you can configure your settings for the database, or some additional settings in here, like make it writable. If you look into the environment, you're going to see by default there are 2 Postgres drivers on version 9 configured in here. So as you saw, my database was slightly newer. And depending on the configuration in the newer versions of the Postgres database, those drivers might not be supported, especially if you're using password encryption, it might not work. So in case you're running into issue that password encryption isn't challenged, you're not going to be able to connect, there's one thing you could try. To do so, you have to go to the WebFOCUS server. There's a folder under the server home, HS Java, which contains 2 jar files. Those are the 2 jar files. So in case you're running into that problem, go to your services. On the server, go to your WebFOCUS server, stop that task. Of course, same is true if you're going to be on Linux or any other system. You might not going to have the services, but stop your reporting server. Go to that Java folder. Rename those 2 files to .bug or whatever you want to. You could also delete it, but I personally prefer to rename it. So they're going to stay intact here. So now we can go back to the services or whatever you do on your machine to start system. So I'm going to spin it up again. Let's refresh here very quickly. Now we're going to go back to get data. There's my Postgres database. We can test the connection. It's still connecting. And see, it's Postgres 12. So go to my properties, go to environment. And actually in here now, we should not see those entries in here anymore. So you should not get them, but it's still pulling the required jar drivers in that scenario. To fully test your instance, you can always cancel that one. To make sure it's fully tested, you can test the connection from here. So see it's working. And you, in addition, right click, you can test the bulk load capability. So you're going to check it's going to work with bulk load as well. So in here, you're going to see it's doing some bulk load testing capabilities and to test your bulk load. So I'm going to do another session on how to learn how to fix the bulk load capability in case your bulk load is not working like it is in here. So bulk load is not working. So I'm going to do a separate session to test the bulk load capabilities or fix the bulk load capabilities for your Postgres database actually in here. So see you in the next session.